2025. Clerk will call the roll, please.
Nelson.
Here.
Hildebrand.
Here.
Mattsdorf.
Here.
Pankwitz.
Here.
Tauschek.
Here.
Herman.
Here.
Binder.
Here.
Gilson.
She's there.
She nodded.
Okay.
Let the record show we have a quorum. Next is the pledge. Please stand.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good evening and welcome, everybody. Next item on the agenda is the consent agenda. The chair will entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda. Second.
We have a first and a second. Any discussion? Clerk will call the roll on the consent agenda, please.
Herman.
Yes.
Mattsdorf.
Yes.
Binder.
Yes.
Pankwitz.
Yes.
Gilson. Nelson.
Yes.
Tauschek.
Yes.
Hildebrand.
Yes.
Motion carried. Thank you. Moving on to item 4, this is the audience portion where we ask people to sign in and be recognized by the chair. We allow you 3 minutes to talk to the council and tell us what's on your mind. Before I call the first person, I would like to make a quick comment that our city administrator and myself attended 3 days out in Washington, D.C., so we might be a little spacey tonight. Things are a little different out there, but we'll try to keep it all on the straight and narrow. So thank you very much, and thank you, Tim, for going out. That was appreciated. First person tonight signed up is Joanne Friedman. Joanne?
Yep, it's pronounced Friedman, although it's
Friedman.
spelled like Friedman, and that's all right. No problem, many people
Thank
say
you.
that. Thank you for letting me speak. I am running for chair of the town board of Linden. When I went to our town board to pick up my nomination papers, Clerk Rhonda Clack said, "There is nothing that the board can do about the transmission lines. It's a big national project. We were told to stay out of it or there would be a lawsuit." This is not the first time I heard that from our town board, that they were told not to get involved. Who told our town board, who are our elected officials, not to help their constituents? The town of Mitchell board and the Sheboygan County supervisors said this is national and there is nothing that we can do. Who told them not to help the taxpayers who elected them? I spoke with John Nagel, Senator Johnson's aide. He said this is a state project and any state official can help you. I spoke to Congressman Glenn Grothman on January 31st, 2025. I explained to him what happened in the past year. Our association, Neighbors for Neighbors, gave the PSC clarity on the close proximity to so many homes on both ATC transmission line routes. Commissioner Hawkins stated on December 12, 2024, this gave the PSC accurate information for the record. Grothman asked me, what state elected officials have been helping you? I told him no one has helped us. He asked, what about your town board? And I replied, our town board was told to stay out of it. We have a supervisor who was told that she could not join N for N, even though the transmission lines run through her property. The town board was told that if they didn't stay out of it, it would be a lawsuit. Congressman Grothman then stated, your board has received very poor counsel. He ended our conversation stating, I can't help you, I'm federal. This is under state jurisdiction. I will check into it and someone will get back to you. I had a follow-up call from Nick Fessler, Congressman Grothman's aide in his Fond du Lac office. Mr. Fessler told me Every state elected official has jurisdiction over the Public Service Commission of Wisconsin. They can help by calling the legislative liaison about the concerns of their constituents. Each one, even town board members, can tell the PSC an environmental impact statement is necessary on a project to prove its safety. Our elected state officials were told there was nothing that they could do to help the constituents who elected them. Therefore, we are investigating the source of this very poor counsel. If our state elected officials had received honest counsel, the legal fees we have accumulated would be much less or possibly non-existent. The excessive mental pressure, sleepless nights, anxiety acquired by all of the constituents involved resulted from very poor counsel. We recall a City of Plymouth Common Council meeting on March 12, 2024. Representatives of the city handed out the final decision on the substation. Public Service Commission of Wisconsin, date March 4th, 2024. Application of City of Plymouth for a new substation in the town of Mitchell. My husband, Dr. Jerry Friedman, asked, is there anything that we can do to change the decision? The answer from the team of representatives was not at this point. This was the first time we heard about the substation, and it was shocking news. My husband asked again, are you sure there's nothing that we can do? The document held high by a representative of City of Plymouth, we were told, do you see right here? Final decision. That means it is final. City of Plymouth, this is very poor counsel.
Thank you very much.
Hold on, I have one more page. All right, on the back page
Ma'am,
of the
I
article,
just
it
asked
does
you to be
state,
respectful, ma'am.
Notice of rights for hearing and judicial review. My father was a police officer. He taught his 6 kids that telling a lie is the worst crime you can commit. When you catch someone in a lie, you lose your faith in those who committed this sin. The trust is lost. City of Plymouth, on March 12th, you stated there was nothing the local taxpayers or landowners of Sheboygan County could do. You provided false information to your county constituents who came to you seeking help. You did not advise us of our legal rights. The correct counsel is on the back page. A person aggrieved by this decision has the right to petition the commission for rehearing. A person aggrieved by the decision has the right to petition for judicial review. Linden neighbors filed a petition for rehearing and a petition for judicial review, and an appeal has been filed on the decision made in Sheboygan County Circuit Court on the judicial review. We are very concerned about who advised our Sheboygan County state elected officials and not to help their constituents who elected them. This is a violation of the oath of office and the commitment to the community that all elected officials pledge to fulfill. Therefore, legal advisors have been retained and we are looking into this matter. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. I just ask that you be respectful, that's all. Thank you very much. Next person is Randall Peach. Peach, thank you, sir.
Good evening, my name is Randy Peach, and I want to thank you for allowing us to speak on this project. I own and live on the land located on County Trunk NN, known as Cedar Springs Trout Farm. Maybe some of you are familiar with or have been on this property, have seen the large cedar trees and other cedar trees on the property. If this line goes through as proposed, I've been told that the right-of-way will be 80 feet wide, and this will be beside existing gas pipeline right-of-way. If this information is correct, it will clear-cut much of my front yard. Those trees are over 100 years old. The land was bought by my grandfather in 1906. Now the utilities, with your approval, want to put a high power line very near my house, directly over my trout ponds, and over Nichols Creek in the surrounding wetland. The power poles are treated with residue with poison, keep them from rotting. Some of this poison is going to enter the water. Clear cutting this land will warm the water in my ponds and Nichols Creek. The most aggravating issue is that no one from Plymouth Utilities, ATC, or ANR Pipeline have ever come out to discuss this with me. The only way I found out about this was from neighbors from the east telling me. When the group Neighbors for Neighbors went to talk to ATC, no one would talk to us. This says that they do not respect us, will not listen to our concerns. They're going to do everything they want with the council's approval. I do know if any of you have gone out and actually driven this proposed route, have seen just how much damage it's going to do to all our properties. Clear cutting 80-foot right-of-ways all the way Highway V is going to remove hundreds of trees, maybe 1,000. This can't be good for the environment. There are other routes that could be considered, one by Neighbors for Neighbors that would do much less damage and affect very few people and properties. It would cross cornfields and versus trees that have to be removed. I am asking you to please change the route. We would love to discuss these other options with anyone who would listen before making a decision. ATC is going to tell you it's too late. It is not too late. It's up to you. I and other neighbors would appreciate a meeting to discuss options, and for you to view the impact this proposed route would have on me and my neighbor's land. Thank you for listening.
Thank you. Next person that signed up is Myra Rankina. I think I mutilated that. I apologize.
Yeah, most people do. Thank you for letting me speak. My name is Mike Ronica. I'm on the board of Lakeshore Trout Limited. I am the former president of Lakeshore Trout Limited, and I am been the Sheboygan County delegate for the Wisconsin Conservation Congress. I'm also the new chair of the Wisconsin Trout Limited State Council. I'm speaking on behalf of Lakeshore Trout Limited and the WCC. Through the WCC, I was put on the Trout Committee. Our purpose is to publicly speak about ways we can improve our cold water fisheries and address potential threats to those fisheries. Who is Lakeshore and what do we do other than public outreach programs that we run, like kids camps and Trout in the Classroom program? We do a lot of restoration work on our local cold water rivers and streams. We have won 7 prestigious awards in the last 6 years and have logged over 700 volunteer hours on the Onion River alone in 2024. In the last 30 years, we have raised and received over $2 million to restore and maintain the Onion River and its tributaries, turning a degraded river into a Class 1 trout stream. And we cleared and cleaned Nichols Creek on the state land, which took a year. Nichols Creek is considered an excellent water resource by the DNR, but even we have to go through the process the state lays out for us. We have to complete a survey of the work that we want to do. The Wisconsin Conservation, or the DNR, Wisconsin DNR, then calls the Army Corps of Engineers to do an environmental impact statement on our survey area. When that clears, we then receive our permit to do the work. We can't even move one rock in the river until the EIS is complete. When I read and gathered information about how potentially dangerous and harmful these power lines could be to not just 2 of the best trout streams in the entire southeastern part of the state, but to the livelihood of many families and farms, I had to ask, why wasn't there an EIS done? How could a project as big as this not need an EIS? So this is what we are asking. We are asking and demanding an EIS be done to prove these transmission lines will not harm the families, farms, environment, and 2 of the best cold water fisheries this area has to offer. If ATC can't prove it, then they should not be allowed to be built. Thank you.
Thank you. Next person that signed up is Jack Woodland. Jack?
Hi, thank you for taking our willing comments here. I'm not going to get into, I haven't prepared anything, I'm just going to speak from the heart here. I got a degree in horticulture with an emphasis in natural resources 40 years ago from Madison. And spent my life designing natural spaces, defending them, enhancing them. We live on a 37-acre farm that we poured our heart out into, practicing those same principles, restoring prairies, species diversity, getting rid of invasives. That's my story and my wife's. There's many stories like that. Dairy farms that are going to be impacted by the route, by this project. People's health, conservation easements going to be violated. Again, going through Nichols Creek over trout streams. It didn't have to be this way. People say, well, you're in NIMBY, you don't want it in your backyard. It doesn't have to be in anybody's backyard or front yard. The routes could have followed the 345, where the alternate route already does have co-location for a portion of it. Just follow it all the way to A. Take a hard left down through the, or at an angle, through the state land. And I would say that it was almost like a hands-off approach. Oh, we can't do that. That's a natural area. As an expert in the vegetation of Wisconsin, it's not a great forest. It's almost a wildlife desert. You walk through the kettles and large portions of it are just tall trees, no understory, no vegetation, other than for some songbirds and squirrels, the occasional deer coming through. It's a wildlife desert. We had a tornado rip through there in 2018. Emerald ash borer took out all sorts of trees. Logging's been done in there. It's a degraded forest. Co-locating the line and going through that low quality habitat versus impacting 49 families, each with their own story of the loss they're going to have. And the fact that, as Joanne pointed out, all of you have the ability to approach the PSC, even at this late date, and say, you know what, an environmental impact statement is not a bad way to go. In fact, it should be required. Everybody isn't looking at the whole impact. I think the whole reason they're doing this the way they are is they can work off hardscape. They can parallel V for the most part. It's efficient for them. They make more money. It's easier. No rain days, but they haven't taken into consideration the toll it's going to do. And I'm asking all of you to consider your role in all of this and what you can still do by approaching the PSC and asking them to reopen the docket and insist on an EIS being done. Thank you.
Thank you. Next person that signed up is Kate Pierce.
Hello, Kate Pierce of W6580 County Road B, and I'm a registered nurse and a meat specialist also. So I wanted to talk about the health concerns I have for this line possibly going in so close to so many families and farms. Any one of you probably has a cell phone. There's a lot of different wavelengths being emitted from that. If you've got an electric blanket, if you've got a microwave in your home, a VCR, TV, there's all kinds of radiation coming from that. Now think about this with a 90-foot tower near your home, going within 12 feet of your home, all that extra electricity. It's been proven that there's stray voltage, and stray voltage not only affects humans, it also affects animals. And there's dairy farms, valuable dairy farms that has contributed milk to the cheese capital of the world here that would be affected. Number one, when extra electricity goes through things, it changes cells, just like getting electrified from a storm or touching an electric fence. You know how that feels if you've grown up on a farm. Probably many of you have. So when we're looking at this extra voltage coming through our properties, across our homes, across our farms, it really affects the health. And one of the things in the village, in the town of Linden ordinances, is that the town officials are supposed to protect the people that live there and be aware of safety implications. So we would like you to step in and insist on an environmental impact statement, so we do not have to suffer the consequences personally, with our grandchildren, possible cancers, other diseases we don't even know about, and the loss of revenue economically from any types of animals that we have in our farm that would be affected by this. If this was coming through your homes, your farms, your legacy homesteads, you would be in our position. So please take this to heart and help us fight this. Have them consider that alternate route where it's very few people are affected instead of having such a huge impact in your backyard. Thank you.
Thank you. And the last person that signed up is Dan Kramer.
I have a proposed map here, if you'd like to look at it as I'm speaking. I'm Dan Kramer. I operate a dairy farm at W7055 County Road D as in Victor. Your proposed power line will run across my front lawn. I have lived here all my life, which is 63 years, which has been a Kramer name for 89 years. And the fourth generation would like to farm. This line will be 65 feet from my house and 275 feet from my milking cart. My wife has a pacemaker. We were at the electrophysiologist's office on 2-26-25, which was yesterday, and we asked a question about the pacemaker and the lines. And they told us we can't live near high tensile lines because the electromagnetic fields can and will alter a pacemaker, which she needs to live. With this barn being that close to the lines, I'm concerned about stray voltage with the cows. I know that I can request a pre-build test and then a pass test for stray voltage. When I spoke with Ryan at Plymouth Utilities and John Calloway, if I test lower than a half a volt, that is a standard by the utilities. Can you take me back to where I'm at today? And neither one of you can answer that question. For these two reasons, I will not be able to stay where I live today. And I'm not old enough to retire yet, so who is going to compensate me to leave my operation? This will also remove 240,000 gallons of milk per year from this farm, which goes to Sargento cheese, Baker's division, and you call yourself the cheese capital of the world. I have a route that would be shorter than both routes that are proposed, which is what I handed you folks. I talked to John Calloway in mid-January about it, and in the maps, you would start on the south 345 line at Blueberry Road and follow that all the way to Kelly Road. Then head to the substation through the fields. In a conversation with John Calloway in mid-January, he stated that they couldn't start at the far east of that line because they would cross the Onion River. And the proposed primary line road does not cross the Nichols Creek. Well, Nickel Creek starts at the north branch of Milwaukee River, then runs through Cedar Springs Trout Ponds, and then runs northwest where they plan to clear cut just north of Randy Peach's property. And at Kellyview, follow the fields southwest to the north end of Ovel's Field. And then follow the fence line with the proposed poles to the substation. With the poles and the fence line, it will not affect the operation of both fields there, which he has asked you not to, or try to avoid. If you run either route, County Road and the or Kelly Road, with the poles just outside of the right-of-way, us farmers cannot crop between the poles and the roadway because our machinery is too big, which causes loss of land for us. With the poles in the middle of the section, we can work around them. And there would be a few And with this route, there would be few homes near this route. If you could suggest my route to the ATC and the PSC, you would look like heroes to our community. Thank you.
Thank you. Once again, we appreciate people coming in and telling us what's on your mind. That's what this session in our council proceedings is for. Thank you. Moving on to item 5, no items were removed from the council agenda. Moving on to item 6, resolution number 2 of 2025, adopting the 2025 schedule. I'll ask our city administrator, Tim Blakely, to give us a brief description. Tim?
Sure. So resolution number 2 is adopting the 2025 salary schedule. One of the 4 strategic goals of the 2023 to 2026 strategic plan is workforce recruitment and retention. And one of those specific strategy initiatives is to review our compensation benefits and strategies. On July 9th, the Common Council did approve an agreement with McGrath Human Resource Consultants to conduct a compensation and classification study. This project was originally planned to be included in the 2025 budget. However, a series of departures did encourage staff to request this project be conducted more quickly, which we so did. So the final compensation and classification study is included in attachment 1. McGrath Human Resource Consultants did present that study to the Finance and Personnel Committee on February 11th, 2025. The Finance and Personnel Committee did unanimously recommend the Common Council adopt the study as presented, or adopt the salary schedule as presented, which is resolution number 2. For implementation, the city administrator did, myself, meet with department heads in early February to review the study and the proposed implementation details. Specific market adjustments based on the report's finding will be discussed in closed session tonight. Again, market adjustments do not apply to every position, and they're to ensure equitable and competitive compensation where needed. Due to budget, levy limit, and salary compression restrictions, adjustments may be phased in over the next 2 to 3 years. Certainly an immediate goal is to bring employees below the minimum of the salary range up to the minimum, but again, due to budget restrictions, that may be phased in over the next 2 to 3 years as funding allows. Employees assigned to the STEP model will be placed on the step closest to their experience level based on the report's findings. So staff does recommend approval of resolution number 2, adopting the 2025 salary schedule as presented.
Thank you. The chair will entertain a motion so we can discuss.
I'll move to approval resolution number 2 of 2025, adopting the 2025 schedule.
I'll second his motion.
We have a first and a second. Any discussion? Questions? Clerk will call the roll, please.
Hildebrand,
Yes.
Nelson,
Yes.
Pankwitz,
Yes.
Mattsdorf,
Yes.
Tauschek,
Yes.
Gilson,
Yes.
Binder,
Yeah.
Herman.
Yes.
Motion carried. Thank you. Moving on to resolution number 3 of 2025, establishing a police evidence bank account for the handling of restricted funds. Tonight we have with us our utility director, Chris Russo. Chris, you want to give us a summary on that?
Yeah, thank you. We got Ken here as well that can help answer some of the questions
Yes.
as well. So what we're looking for is just to set up a new bank account in our current bank, really just as Ken and them do their normal inventory checks and just kind of going through some new guidance that has come out. They currently have some cash for ongoing cases that are in their police evidence vault as of now. Under this new recommendation, it's assumed that if the actual physical coin or dollars are not needed in the actual case, that those should be placed in a bank account for safekeeping with the proper protocols and auditing requirements subject to those as well. So what we're looking to do is just set that up. Normally, if these were other committed or restricted funds, we would go ahead and account for them properly and put them in with our normal bank account, being that these are for ongoing cases. The recommendation as well is that these should be under a 0% interest bank account. So essentially, this new bank account will just be a housing account, still under all our normal protocols, under all our audit recommendations as well, but just a housing until those cases wrap up. And then once they get the proper guidance, we'll go ahead and issue them accordingly.
Thank you. The chair will entertain a motion so we can discuss.
I'll move to approve resolution number 3.
I'll second.
We have a first and a second to approve resolution number 3 of 2025, establishing a police evidence bank account for the handling of restricted funds. Any discussion? Mike?
What do we mean by restricted funds? What does this pertain to?
So in particular, this pertains to evidence. So when we have a case and we seize money from an individual related to that case, currently it is kept in our evidence vault in the police department. It is the recommendation of many authorities at this point in time. The current best practice is unless the specific bills identified by serial number or such are evidence in the case, that the currency, the value of it be deposited in a bank account and therefore out of touch of all the officials that can manage it without multiple signatures. So in this case, we're asking that somebody from the police department would receive direction once that evidence is placed into a bank account, that dollar amount. We would receive notification from particularly the district attorney or the circuit court as to how to disseminate that money, whether it's being returned to the party involved in the case, if it's being seized and delivered to the state or the circuit court or whatever. We would then execute a request to Director Russo's department to remove that money, get multiple signatures as required under our accounting thing to have the money removed. Therefore, it's not under the control of any one person, and it is safer considered in that case that it can't be done. This is part of transparency in the new age, that the police department doesn't hold these funds any longer. We push them out to a different organization. The money's identified, it's counted by multiple entities, it's accounted for, and it's held outside of our reach without multiple signatures. And therefore, there's no embezzlement, there's no risk of these kind of things that, of course, we've heard horror stories over. So we are asking for best practices to take that evidence technically out of our hands, secure it elsewhere, keep it there, again, where it's accounted for and it's publicly documented. We can then disseminate it upon order from the courts. And that's really what we're asking for in this case. Money that would be specifically required as evidence, such as counterfeit currency, or where the denomination, the actual serial number of the bills, or let's say the exact bills themselves somehow become evidence in a case, that money would not be placed in this account because it is the unique property of the actual printed money that is the evidence, but those cases are very rare. We did a dive into our evidence just in the last 5 years, and we're looking at approximately $10,000 that we currently hold in the last 5 years. There's probably a few additional cases beyond the 5 years that are still held in our vault that we would like to remove from that situation and place into a bank, and that's what we're asking for this evening.
Thank you.
Question, Chris, who would be the signing authorities on this account versus other accounts under your control?
It would go through our normal bank account processes that we do have. The biggest thing that requires, just like all our other accounts, it's gonna require a two-signature party. So when Ken issues that disbursement request, any one of our finance team is able to take that, run it through our normal procedures as we would. But as all other requirements for those transactions, it'll be a second signature. So if our city accountant signs off, one of us as well will be on there for a double signature.
Okay, that's best practice, that's good.
There will be no checkbook or any other mechanism for us to access that money without going through this process.
Yeah, okay. Any other questions? Clerk will call the roll for resolution number 3.
Gilson,
Yes.
Nelson,
Yes.
Tauschek,
Yes.
Hildebrand,
Yes.
Herman,
Yes.
Matsdorf,
Yes.
Binder,
Yes.
Pankwitz.
Yes.
Motion carried, thank you, thank you. Moving on to item 7, new business. Discussion and possible action on amendment agreement with Police Department, Plymouth Police Department Employees Association. Tim?
Yeah, so just a very brief item tonight. The Plymouth Employees Association, Plymouth Police Department Employees Association has notified us that their collective bargaining representative, the Labor Association of Wisconsin, plans to discontinue their representation. They are closing their practice. So the association has chosen the Wisconsin Professional Police Association as their new bargaining agent. So there are references to the prior organization in the current agreement. So this updated amendment does replace those with the new organization.
Okay, thank you. Chair will entertain a motion so we can discuss.
I move to approve the amendment with the Plymouth Police Department Employees Association. I'll second his motion.
We have a first and a second. Any discussion? Clerk will call the roll, please.
Pankwitz,
Yes.
Binder,
Yes.
Matsdorf,
Yes.
Herman,
Yes.
Hildebrand,
Yes.
Gilson, Nelson,
Yes.
Tauschek.
Yes.
Motion carried. Thank you. The next several items will be in closed session for those in the audience. We clear the room for that. We thank you for coming. We will be having FYI votes coming out of closed sessions regarding those 3 items in closed session. Chair will entertain a motion to go into closed session.
So moved. Second. Hildebrand.
We have a first and a second. Any discussion? Clerk will call for closed session, please.
Gilson,
Yes.
Nelson.
That consulting, MJ. what was
MJ
that?
Barnes and Associates.
B-A-R-N-E-S?
B-A-R-N-E-S.
I can do that
Yep.
one.
MJP, that's.
Okay, thank you.
You have the agenda sitting here. Oh, here.
Let the record show that we're now back in open session. No, wait a minute.
Did we vote to go?
We did-
No. We had a first and second, we need a roll call.
Mayor, do you know who the first and second was?
I was first.
I was second. Go ahead, you take credit.
I knew I was waiting for something. Okay, roll call.
Pankwitz,
Yes.
Binder,
Yes.
Matsdorf,
Yes.
Herman,
Yes.
Hildebrand,
Yes.
Tauschik,
Yes.
Nelson,
Yes.
Gilson.
Yes.
Okay, let the record show we're now back in open session. Chair will entertain a motion pursuant to State Statute 19.85, paren 1, paren G, conferring with legal counsel regarding a claim from WODAS, W-O-O-D-A-S.
Mayor,
Alderman Tauschek.
I would make a motion to deny the claim from Brenda Waters.
Second, Hildebrand.
We have a first and a second. Any discussion? Clerk will call the roll on the vote to deny the claim.
Matsdorf,
Yes.
Tauschik,
Yes.
Pankwitz,
Yes.
Herman,
Yes.
Nelson,
Yes.
Binder,
Yes.
Gilson,
Yes.
Hildebrand.
Yes.
Motion carried, thank you. Next item pursuant to Wisconsin Statute 19.85, paren C, for considering employment, promotion, compensation, or performance evaluation of data of any public employee over which the governmental body has jurisdiction or exercises responsibility regarding updated 2025 wage resolution. The chair will entertain a motion.
Mayor, can I move to approve the 2025 wage resolution?
Second.
We have a first and a second. Any discussion? Clerk will call the roll, please.
Binder,
Yes.
Pankwitz,
Yes.
Gilson,
Yes.
Nelson,
Yes.
Tauschik,
Yes.
Hildebrand,
Yes.
Herman,
Yes.
Matsdorf.
Yes.
Motion carried, thank you. Moving on to the last one pursuant to Wisconsin Statute 19.85, paren C, deliberating or negotiating the purchasing of public properties, the investing of public funds, or conducting other specified public business whenever competitive or bargaining regard a closed session, negotiating regarding West Stafford Street parking lot project. Chair will entertain a motion.
I'll move that we approve hiring, I believe it's MJ Barnes, is it not?
Correct.
Appraisals to appraise those properties in the Stafford Street area.
I'll second.
We have a first and a second. Any discussion? Clerk will call the roll, please.
Tauschik,
Yes.
Herman,
Yes.
Binder,
Yes.
Gilson,
Yes.
Hildebrand,
Yes.
Pankwitz,
Yes.
Matsdorf,
Yes.
Nelson.
Yes.
Motion carried. Thank you all. Chair will entertain a motion to adjourn.
Or am I taking it to